Cryptocurrencies are under attack. The Fed has become more and more outspoken about regulating a major type of cryptocurrency asset that helps facilitate trades within the entire crypto ecosystem: stablecoins.
There are some risks with stablecoins right now, are there not? Are there concerns you have about stablecoins?
There's concern of how current stablecoins are being used, if we can trust them, and fear that central banks will abuse them. And this has led the Fed to consider regulation and the possibility of creating their very own cryptocurrency. So let's talk about this sticky situation that absolutely impacts you if you own any amount of crypto assets or you're thinking about getting into some kind of crypto asset. As of now, there are no regulations for cryptocurrencies on the federal level.
Yeah, I think the issue, stablecoins are a lot like money market funds or bank deposits or a narrow bank, depending on the terms of them, that kind of thing, but without the regulation.
It's like the Wild West still, kind of like how there were no safety regulations on cars until 1968. The Fed is recognizing that cryptos are getting more and more popular over time, and the longer they wait, they realize the harder it will be to regulate in the future. Now, these new regulations could be as small as requiring more reporting to the government or as large as outright banning cryptos altogether. And this is what's making crypto holders a little bit nervous. Chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, says that cryptocurrencies have failed their attempt to become a form of payment.
With cryptocurrencies, it's not that they didn't aspire to be a payment mechanism, it's that they've completely failed to become one, except for people who desire anonymity, of course.
Salty much, Jerome? Although he does recognize that stablecoins, specifically via central banks, are a promising solution to his concerns. Here we need to do some defining. What is a stablecoin? Put simply, a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that is pegged to some kind of reserve asset. This could be things like a commodity, the price of gold, or more commonly, the US dollar. A US dollar stablecoin is built to always be worth exactly $1, and whoever is issuing that stablecoin should theoretically have $1 in the bank or $1 worth of assets for every one coin issued. A few examples of these are USDC, DAI, and most popularly USDT. Stablecoins, particularly USDT, don't have the highest level of trust though.
Let's talk about Tether.
Let's talk Tether.
Tether has become very important.
Tether is what's called a stablecoin.
This cryptocurrency has quietly risen to the third largest in the world by market cap.
It is a digital token that is meant to be a one-to-one surrogate for the US dollar.
There's some controversy around it.
They're essentially poker chips.
They were issuing phony Tether because there is no transparency in Tether. That's the problem.
But Tether is not 100% backed by US dollars in a bank account.
13% of their assets, this is 13% of 60 billion, is invested in secured loans. We have no idea what kind of loans those are or who they're to.
This group of individuals who run Tether have a bit of, let's call it, to be charitable, a mixed reputation.
I have a lot of mixed feelings around how Tether has been managed going forward.
They're not sure they see Tether in the market.
Stablecoin, unstable coin. And I could care less about Tether, right? It's a joke.
Bitfinex and Tether would be forced to end all transactions with New York residents and pay a combined $18.5 million in fines after hiding roughly $850 million in losses around the world.
And now that we know what a stablecoin is, we need to discuss central bank digital currencies, also known as CBDCs. A CBDC is a cryptocurrency issued and managed directly by a central bank of a country, like the Fed in the United States. In this case, the Fed is considering building a US dollar stablecoin to compete with existing stablecoins, like USDC, USDT, and DAI. The Fed has major concerns with the growing popularity of cryptocurrencies, concerns that they feel may be solved with a CBDC. So let's discuss why the Fed is considering starting their very own stablecoin. First off is control and developing standards.
You wouldn't need stablecoins, you wouldn't need cryptocurrencies if you had a digital US currency.
Crypto means hidden, and that is the great advantage that cryptocurrencies will have over a federal digital currency because they are designed to be crypto, hidden from the US government, especially the IRS.
85% of central banks around the entire world are currently looking into a stablecoin pegged to their native currency. This leaves Mr. Powell and the Fed in a bit of a pickle. They have this massive emerging monetary technology that they have no puppet string attached to. If the Fed is late to the game, this could mean the US dollar loses dominance over time. Think about it this way. The US dollar is the most dominant currency in the world. Charts like this show exported goods are often invoiced in US dollars, even if the shipment isn't going to the United States. That's dominance. Now let's say China's CBDC really takes off, or Facebook's Diem coin becomes the primary unit of trade. This means the US dollar just lost a whole lot of goodwill backing its name. Money is a story, and the strongest story has a large advantage in the worldwide economy. However, this isn't their only concern. The Fed is worried about a monetary system made up of tens or even hundreds of stablecoin CBDCs from banks all across the world that could be too fragmented and lead to issues like those in the free banking era of the mid-1800s. In this time, currencies were issued in the United States regionally and could have different values based on the creditworthiness of a region or a bank. However, many are quick to point out that this argument actually needs modern corrections. Then we have the problem of commercial banking using a non-regulated system. The Fed is worried that with a less transparent system, meaning one that they don't have complete control over, this could lead to misuse by commercial banks, which, don't get me wrong, big banks don't exactly have the best reputation in the first place.
The heat is coming down on the bankers.
Goldman Sachs agreeing to pay an additional $2.6 billion in fines.
The German lender has been fined almost $630 million over a Russian money laundering scheme.
Global banking giant HSBC agrees to a record payment, $1.92 billion. Yes, that is billion with a B, to settle accusations of money laundering.
Today, Deutsche Bank was fined $150 million for their associations with Jeffrey Epstein.
And then finally, of course, the Fed is worried about the safety of the system. More and more, the Fed has talked down on crypto assets.
With cryptocurrencies, it's not that they didn't aspire to be a payment mechanism, it's that they've completely failed to become one.
The Fed feels that they could make a safer system and a safer currency than those currently in the open market. Now, whether they're the best at this job or not doesn't seem to matter a whole lot to your average crypto holder. Distrust for the Fed actually seems to outweigh the distrust for a third-party stablecoin by a large margin. A poll on this channel showed that more than 70% of people would rather use a third party instead of a CBDC. I think that says a lot. But this actually makes sense to me because when I think about this, my initial knee-jerk reaction is that the Fed should be able to make the safest system of a crypto pegged to their own dollar. I mean, it's literally their thing. However, I quickly remember that the whole reason for cryptos in the first place is to separate money from government. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, less regulation. Now, I'm not conspiratorial, but let's put on our tinfoil hats here for a minute, because one can think of endless ways a bad acting government could control a society of people with their own CBDC if that became the primary currency. The Fed already has a lot of power to sway the economy. They can affect change by just adjusting the supply of money. But the Fed doesn't have as much control over the velocity of money. This is how much money is actually being spent and transacted. A government needs to have power over both the supply of the money and velocity of the money to have total monetary control. Now, I'm not saying this will or even might happen, but theoretically, a central bank could issue a CBDC and then later slap an expiration date on it.
We're sorry, your currency has expired. Goodbye.
Let's say they wanted everyone to spend $1,000 in order to bump up the velocity of the money and help out the economy. Theoretically, they could program a 30-day expiration date on the dollar, making you spend that money or lose it. That's total control over the monetary system. Now, what's next? A dystopian future, crashing cryptos? Probably not. Extremes by definition are very rare to happen. And frankly, we won't know much until around September of this year.
We expect to publish a report around, could be early September or plus or minus right in that time frame. We're going to address digital payments broadly. So that means stable coins, it means crypto assets, it means a CBDC of the appropriate regulation, and in the case of a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, laying out questions for the public to respond to about what good it can do, what the costs and benefits of it would be. We want to begin really a major public consultation across many different groups, including Congress, of course.
So the future is a bit uncertain right now. However, if I were to bet, I believe the most logical outcome for the Fed would be to have their own CBDC, impose some regulation on existing stablecoins to ensure reserves and make sure that consumers are safe, and impose regulations on commercial banking with cryptos, again, to help ensure the safety of consumers. This would address the Fed's concerns of losing dominance of the US dollar and having quote-unquote a safe stablecoin. It lowers risks to consumers by increasing banking regulation and makes existing stablecoins more competitive. However, time will only tell as to what exactly ends up happening, but I can assure you it will be interesting. So you made it to the end of this video. I appreciate you sticking to the end. If you'd like to support my work even more, consider joining my Patreon. On there, you get early access to mini videos, you get private content, you get private live streams, you get buy alerts when I actually buy or sell crypto or stock assets. There's a lot going on the Patreon. If you want to support me even more, feel free joining that link down below. If you enjoyed this video as well, just make sure to give it a like and give this channel a subscribe. I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.